Into a big fan, as you well know.
Well, thank you.
Yes, indeed. Heather MacDonald is senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, contributing editor to one of the two great journals in the Western world right now, City Journal. I don't miss an issue. And she wrote a piece, which I printed out with my own bolding of what I think is really critical. Playing the race card on Larry Elder. Engaging in shameful duplicity regarding crime and policing, the media attempt to portray the California gubernatorial candidate as anti-black. That's the subtitle of her piece. So I didn't know this, by the way. Your piece revealed it to me. Elect Elder and California will reinstate Jim Crow. This was stated by a Democrat, State Senator Sidney Kamlager, a Democrat from L.A. So I'm curious. Then I want to get to the specifics that you brilliantly lay out in your piece. Do you believe that this man believes that if Larry Elder is elected, there will be Jim Crow in California?
Well, the amazing thing is that he admits that we don't currently have Jim Crow. I mean, if you listen to the California education establishment, the LAUSD, they're telling us that we still live under this regime of white supremacy, and that blacks are kept out of their rightful place there when they're qualified to get into banks and businesses and STEM fields and whatnot. So I guess we should actually be grateful for this admission. So yes, given that the default in the Democratic Party is that we're still in Jim Crow, I do not doubt for a minute that he would think that anything other than the left-wing regime that currently governs California would set blacks back to absolute primitive segregation, if not slavery.
There's no way you would know this, but I want you to know something that I remember from my youth. Leonard Bernstein, and you and I are both deeply into music, so of course I'll just say this for everybody else's benefit. Leonard Bernstein was an iconic figure in music in America. He not only composed West Side Story, but in classical music he was the conductor of the New York Philharmonic and did big things on television about introducing people to music when television actually had some quality programming. Anyway, he was a typical liberal dummy, aside from being a musical genius. And I saw him, I actually saw this on the news, that he said, if Ronald Reagan is elected, the Ku Klux Klan will return to the White House.
Well, they feel that their life is meaningful to the extent that they are fighting a heroic battle. The fact of the matter is, American capitalism, American democracy has created for all of us a state of really easy living, basically. I mean, yes, there's still, income inequalities, and if you're on meth, which is pretty much a choice, your life is going to be very hard. But we don't have a lot to struggle against. We are very prosperous. There's not a whole lot of battles to be fought, especially if you're a left-wing person, because you've won everything. And so this gives you a sense of purpose, that they feel like they are engaged in the civil rights struggles or a great moral crusade. And so there's simply no facts that can dislodge that fundamental grasping for some kind of profound meaning and higher aim in their lives at a time when basically what should be the primary focus of anybody's life now is preserving the good bourgeois values of middle-class propriety, respect for the law, no litter, no graffiti, cleanliness, and that should be enough. But the left wants to feel like they're much more heroic and bold.
Well said. Well said. So back to your piece on Larry Elder. They're playing the race card, as you put it. So let's see. We are literally hunted every day, every time we step outside the comfort of our homes. LeBron James, one of the richest men in America, said that. And as you write, Elder has a different take. If, quote, a young black man is 8 times more likely to be killed by another young black man than by a young white man, Elder told the Orange County Republicans, then systemic racism is not the problem. That's what they hate about him, correct? He's denying systemic racism.
Right. He is saying that blacks have agency. That should not be a controversial claim. That one can get ahead in this country regardless of skin color. There is, in fact, let's be honest, Dennis, the reality today in most institutions in the mainstream is black privilege, not white privilege. If you graduate from high school with a decent GPA, you're going to have every selective college in the country beating down your door, offering you a scholarship. That will continue out in the business world where every bank, every corporation, every law firm, every STEM field is desperate to hire and promote as many blacks as possible. If you're a white male, straight white male, not so interested in you. And Larry Elder has the courage to talk about that. But the duplicity is particularly egregious when it comes to the denial of this horrible problem, grotesque breakdown of social norms that is inner city drive-by shootings. And Elder does not turn away from that reality.
Well, I announced on my show that this woman Guerrero, I've never been familiar with before, she's a columnist for the LA Times, wrote that Larry Elder twists facts with regard to black criminal rates, black males specifically. So I looked at the underline, meaning that there was a website that would back up her claim that he twists facts. So I clicked on it, and all I got were Larry's listing of the facts. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. It is amazing. And the irony is that the facts come from the left's favorite sources, like the CDC. The CDC's own statistics tell us that black males between the ages of 10 and 43, or just blacks generally between the ages of 10 and 43, have a 13 times higher death by homicide rate than whites of those same ages. Homicide data does not lie. It is the gold standard in criminology. The bodies do not lie. And as far as the police being racist, I did some new number crunching for this piece, Dennis, and I've come up with a figure that is just mind-blowing. As of this year, a police officer is 870 times more likely to be killed on the job than an unarmed black is to be killed by a police officer. And yet the left constantly says, oh, policing is really safe, notwithstanding that last September we saw those Dion Murray, a longtime felon, walk up to 2 L.A. sheriff's deputies, shoot them point blank in the head, trying to assassinate them. And I crunched the numbers a little further, and I found, as of this year, a police officer's chance of being killed by a black suspect is 370 times more likely than an unarmed black being killed by a police officer. So the Black Lives Matter narrative that the police are the biggest threat to blacks is completely wrong. To be honest, blacks are a disproportionate threat to the police, and yet the police are there every day in South Central Los Angeles, working for the thousands of millions of good people there, trying to provide them with the same sense of security that the anti-Elder crowd in Brentwood and Pacific Palisades and Bel Air and Beverly Hills.
All right, back in a moment with Heather MacDonald. Her piece is up at DennisPrager.com.